Well, happy Friday, Wild Cards. We are here with the inimitable master of TPK, John Goff. Welcome, sir.
Hello.
I mean, I don't know that anyone doesn't know who John Goff is. You are the John Goff. But how would folks remember you most by in your involvement with Pinnacle?
It's undoubtedly the first thing I ever wrote. It was a Deadlands Weird West. We called them dime novels back then. But the adventure in it, Night Train, that just gained a what's the word I'm looking for? Reputation as a party killer. So, and everything I've written since then, and I keep a rough count of the words, and I've published like 2 million words since then. But that's what everybody thinks of. Every now and then, Deadlands Noir, but that's about it. So, it doesn't help that Shane keeps pushing it. So I just gave up. I'm like, all right, I'll embrace it.
Except what you're famous for, right? We don't all have the opportunity to choose what our sobriquets and infamy is for them. So Night Train ain't a bad one. I've seen some of those. Like I think one year at Gen Con, you gave out buttons on who survived your game at Night Train, and those are.
Somebody else actually printed those up, and they passed them out at one Gen Con, and I got one that I had on my gaming bag for a long time. I think I still have it. But yeah, I've gotten Cheyenne Wright, who does a lot of illustrations for Pinnacle, and I've worked with him on a bunch of projects. I got him to design a little Night Train logo, and I got some custom dice made with it that I
should pull those up. I think I saw those.
Yeah, I hand out at conventions if I run someone. If I run someone in a con game, I just give them one of the dice. But I'm out, so I apparently have run a lot of con games, as I got 200, I think, to start. So.
Yeah, I think I have one because I survived your game along with Michelle Hensley at Deadwood when you ran it for us. And
yeah, I remember you guys just ran away.
Bravely ran away.
In the stable, got a horse and rode out of town. Clint, that was the one where Clint ended up climbing up the church. Clint Black climbing the church steeple in his nightshirt and falling, if I'm not mistaken. I think his performance was surprising for a man with no weapons in a town overrun by vampires.
I mean, it was a valiant move to drop the bell on them, and I think they just might have been on fire at the same time too. I mean, it was the number of hazards one faces when we were in a John Goff game is kind of never ending. I think running away is like the wise move. It wasn't when
that's how most people that tend to live through that tell me that they did it. They just ran. That's what I never even got to play test it myself because my group just somehow knew when they heard a train whistle to run, and they would not stay in a town overnight.
So we're done here. Let's go.
Yeah, no.
Well, so the funny thing about that game though is, I mean, you were running it like a funnel, so you could hop between multiple characters. So I think we survived because the only characters to survive were the ones that bravely ran away, and the ones that stuck around and did good abruptly met their end.
That was at the Deadwood meetup, and one day I ran the entire adventure. It was I think an 8-hour, 2 4-hour sessions or thereabouts. And the next night I ran it where just you guys got to play people in the town that were extras, not wild cards, which made it much, much harder to stay alive. And the intent was just see how many people we can kill or characters.
Right. Yes. No actual humans died, although, much fun was had. Oh, here they are. Yes, I found your dice. Let me get the picture.
Deadwood was a lot of fun. It was really Deadwood.
We need to do that again. That was too much fun.
I don't know where you can go. Maybe Dodge City.
So I mean, that's the problem with a lot of the old West places. It's like it's like the delicate balancing act of finding a place that's historically interesting, is not too hard to get to from a local airport, and has like hotel accommodations. And,
right.
Like it's a hard list to get all of them
Yeah, Dodge, maybe Tombstone would be about.
I think
the only two I can think
of
of.
Tombstone, and
they did a Doomtown game down there, if I remember, a big tournament. So
yeah, here we go. Okay, took me a little minute, but here are the lovely Night Train dice. Very cool. I like the red is for blood and the black is for your soul.
I know where you got that photo.
Data mining. So speaking of data mining, so in your life, like before we get into like your more of your gaming life, what does unless you don't want to talk about it, is it secret? Is it super secret what you do besides writing awesome game stories?
I'm a private investigator. I own my own firm here in Virginia. Interestingly enough, named Night Errant.
Oh, great name! I like it. Nice little
pun. With a K, not an N. I've been.
Wait, so are you telling us there's going to be a Night Train with a K in the upcoming Deadlands Dark Ages? Is that what you just
I hope not. I didn't think about it, but that is a little pilgrim. We'll talk to Simon about that.
Yeah. It's got to happen now. It's got to be a thing. I mean, I heard exactly. I heard you promise. That's.
But I've been doing that for over 20 years. On and off, and opened up my agency here in the town where we now live a couple of years back, and fortunately my wife is well employed, or we'd starve.
I mean, it's always good not starving. I mean, I'm personally a fan of food. But so what's the craziest thing you've ever had happen as an investigator? Like crazy story, crazy people.
Oh, good Lord! I think of what I can talk about without breaching confidentiality. And Knight Errant is actually, I see Rigger Raven's question. Knight Errant is a fairly common name in the industry. So, or at least you'll find more than one Knight Errant company out there. Wow. Probably guy we call drywalling Elvis. The workers' compensation fraud cases were the ones where you tend to get the crazier ones. And we had a gentleman that midway through our investigation, we had already just tons of evidence that the guy was, basically defrauding the compensation authority. And then we get a call where they said, "Hey, we've got word that this guy might work as an Elvis impersonator." So we dug into it and found out that, yeah, indeed he did. So the insurance company said, we'll pay your agency to have a party, rent out a location, have a party, and hire this guy to come and get video of it. And we did.
Oh, that is so fantastic.
They were dying laughing because they were just like, please let us get in front of, the judge and show video of this, because it's a once in a life
disability doing the hip shake on stage. Oh my
right. God. And we got into the hearing, and they were literally laughing in the little witness prep room before we went in, and we got in and they settled. They're just like, no, we drop air. So they didn't even get to this. And the funny thing was, they had never filed for discovery, so they didn't even know we had it. And we're like, wow. What has happened to get them to just quit? And we found out that his representation had used our agency for other things. And he no doubt put two and two together and said, have you been doing work? Well, yeah, I'm doing this. Is there anything else I need to know? Well, I also, moonlight as Elvis. He's like, all right, we're out.
Smart.
But
Smart way not to become like, piss a judge off and lose the all the credibility for the rest of your career is the guy who tried to claim that Mr. Elvis impersonator actually was disabled. Like,
yeah,
good call by the attorney on that side.
exactly. A couple of times where the things were just so ridiculous that their own representation just quit. The day of trial, they're like, this video is absurd. We're dropping you. So those are fun. Those are the wild ones. They're not wild ones too.
So what do you have to do to become a private investigator? Is it like licensing? Like what?
Well, it depends on the state. I've been licensed in both Washington State and Virginia. Virginia now twice. There are two levels. There's being able to work for a private investigation firm and then being able to actually be a private investigation firm. And to be able to work for one, you generally just have to take X number of hours of courses and pass the test. And I think in Virginia, it's 60 hours. Washington was like 4. It was like, yeah, you just do it here. This is don't do this. That's all we're telling you. And then you're registered to work, but you have to work for a licensed agency. And to be an agency, you have to have experience in the field, usually 2 to 3 years, and documentation on that. My military background covered me in both places, but that's the hurdle to get your own to being a private investigator, is that getting the experience to move into it. So
how many times have you been like, it's been dark late at night, you've got a glass of gin or other dark spirit, and then a dame walks into the office wearing an overcoat and
are we counting my wife or not? If we're not counting my wife, it's 0, because I work from a home office, and that would be hard to explain.
So Joyce has never asked you for help to find her husband's killer?
Well, that was heart disease. So,
how did you meet the group? Like, I mean, like, you go back a long way with Shane and crew. Like, let me pull up. I got some incriminating. This isn't even as far back. I mean, it's just a picture of you and the folks. I have to dig up your. You and Shane go back to you guys both had youthful hair and all that stuff. So, what's the origin of the Shane and Goff story?
We met way back in college. He was a freshman, and I believe, I was. Our university, Virginia Tech, and I decided that the two of us should take time apart and see other people for a year. And during that time, I set up a role-playing club not directly associated with the college, but basically for the college and students. And I had posted a sign about, looking for players for this big game that I was going to run. And Shane and some of his friends, one of which was John Hopler, showed up, and they're just like these little goofy freshmen. And here I was the extra cool guy that was, on double secret probation. And we hit it off right away, and they played in this very lengthy campaign I had. I think we had like as many as 8 or 9 players in it. And then Shane and John started running games, and we kind of just bounced around running various stuff with, I think our favorite system back then when we weren't playing D&D was GURPS, because you could play so many different genres with it. And we were all min-maxers, and we got to play with that, and Call of Cthulhu. But most of the stuff we ran when we weren't running D&D was horror, modern day mostly. And well, thank you very much. So we met there. We got to be pretty good friends there. And when I graduated, I went into the military, and I was there for about 8 years. And when we moved back to Virginia for my wife to attend college, get her degree. And I looked up Shane, and he said, "Hey, wow, I'm glad you got in touch, because I just published this game that I think you get a kick out of, and I want you to take a look at it." And he sent me a copy of Deadlands, and yeah, I did like it. And I told him, "You had me at the rifle spins," because we used to watch Westerns on, I think every Thursday night we would have a movie night where we would watch a good movie and then crappy movies once we'd had enough, beverages. And that's the rifle spin in, I think it is True Grit. John Wayne's riding and spinning a rifle with one hand and shooting a pistol with the other one. I saw that he put rules in for that, and I said, "You had me at that." And then he just said, I liked what you did back in college, and I'd like you to try to write for us." And he said, "But I got partners, so you got to go through the whole process. Maybe write us something for the webpage, then write a convention adventure, and I'll show it to my partners, and we'll see, if you can put sentences together and make sense." And apparently I could. And I think the first book I wrote was Night Train, which was the next step, and that went well. And then I did Hucksters and Hexes, and then Fire and Brimstone, and I don't know if I did another one after that, or if I moved to a box set with River of Blood. And that started my love affair with New Orleans. So.
Oh, yeah, New Orleans it's a cool place. We have a vote for Best Adventure Ever. Which one?
Which one? Night Train or? But I think, honestly, if I had to pick of the Deadlands adventures I wrote, I would pick the one out of the back of Fire and Brimstone, called The Mission. I thought that one was very atmospheric. I really liked it. So besides, what was the give us the, you don't have to spoil anything, but what's the general little arc, the preview of that adventure? Basically the heroes go to this, they find themselves in an old mission, a walled Spanish mission out in the Southwest, and they're kind of trapped there by, I can't remember if it's bandits or the Apaches or something. They're trapped in this mission, which it appears to be abandoned. And then as they find out more and more, there's some really dark stuff that goes way back here. So I just really, I don't know. I just like that one. That one I ran and had a bunch of, just had a bunch of fun running it. It was creepy. I got to play with some horror tropes and some surprises. So
basically what you're saying is, like, we have you to thank for Deadlands and Savage Worlds and the whole, like, you were Shane's best GM, and now we have tens and tens of thousands of Savage Worlds players all around the world.
Well, you have Shane to thank for that. but I played games with him early on. So speaking of, I think one of the highlights of the game design thing was when we were like the second or maybe the 2001 Gen Con. I got to meet Gary Gygax, and he said, "Hey, I really like what you guys are doing with Deadlands. I like what I see there." And had him being the one that brought me into gaming and opening my mind to this whole other thing that you could do way back in the late 70s and early 80s. That was just kind of like, wow, that's great. I kind of feel like, I've arrived. So
Facebook user, I'll bet that's Brian. Someone just sign in and let us know who their actual name is. So I don't know that we've mentioned it before anywhere, but since you are the Night Train guy, is there any news you want to spoil about Night Train?
I don't know when it's coming, but if I do my count right, I think this is the 25th anniversary of Night Train, and there might be something coming out with regards to that.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I've
That's
I've
good.
I've learned to not make promises that I don't have my hand directly in control of. But something may be. You probably know more than me at this point.
It's good. It's good. I know, but then they, Shane. Well, everyone's out of the country or out of office, so like I can get away with whatever I want on today. Shane's in Italy and Jody's at Origin, so there's no one left to yell at me, which is great.
And I'm sure they're doing things other than watching this too. So.
I would if I were in Sorrento, I would not be checking in on what Landauer is up to. I might check in for John Goff, but definitely not me. But yes, so for folks who are Night Train fans, there's something special coming for the 25th anniversary of Night Train, which is awesome. So yeah, we haven't leaked that before, and
you
super
haven't?
excited.
That's the first. Is that the first that's been mentioned publicly?
Yeah, I don't think we mentioned it before. So
yeah, well, obviously, I mean, if it's going to be for that anniversary, it should be coming out this year. So
yeah,
I'd like you want to do the 26th anniversary.
Right. Yeah, it's the 25 plus 1. We're good at that. We're good at that. We were definitely trying to get a 20th anniversary like destination event. We're going to go to Gamehole Con. So if you want to meet up with us, Gamehole Con's where it's going to be. But the pulling the triggers on all the things all at the same time and everything that's going on. Our production schedule is like full bore, and that wasn't the year to do it, but.
You guys have just got so much stuff coming out constantly. It boggles my mind how you stay on top of it, because I mean, I remember when Pinnacle was Shane and a couple of freelancers, and it has exploded recently into not just Shane and freelancers.
We got like one or two more people doing stuff. One or two.
Yeah, just one or two.
That's true. I think we are taking a little bit of a slower pace, Ravens, just so we can, we're easing up. So I'll take a moment to do a little advertising, and then we'll talk more about John's personal life, and then we'll get back to some of the projects and some spoilers, because I love spoilers. But we are currently starting on Tuesday. We are going to do the 20th anniversary celebration of Savage Worlds with the 5th printing of Suede. So if you want the newest, all the updates, all the little stuff that has been already incorporated into the PDF in a hardback, also with a little special celebratory medallion on the front, you can pick up a new copy of Suede. But the big cool thing with the 20th anniversary is we are doing $20 players books. So that is super exciting. So let me give you guys a preview link so you can go and sign up at the Kickstarter itself. So I got to send you the one that's not all the page, just like the cool part of the page. But so the great thing is we're going to have 5 variant covers of the player's book. We've chosen 4 already, and one is a special one we are going to reveal at the beginning of the campaign. So those are going to be $20 players books. They're like 160 some pages, and we're going to bring back an accessories box. So for those of you who missed out on the Suede Kickstarter and the big box of all the stuff, including the book, we're going to release an accessories box, which has a whole bunch of goodies in it that if you didn't pick up the essentials box, you can pick up the accessories box. And so lots of cool, fun stuff there. Some really good stretch goals. So that's going to be kicking off on Tuesday. And let me see how to get you the right link. I don't want to get fired by giving you the link with all the stuff that's all the page that we're still working on. And,
or somebody might go into the Dropbox and delete everything.
Oh, that would never happen. No one likes it on a Friday going why is Deadlands gone? Did someone? Oh, I guess we're not doing Deadlands anymore. It's just it doesn't exist anymore. Oh, Deadlands was deleted. That was not
the
really
email.
Fault, John. I mean, it was.
The email I got, stop deleting things. I should be able to do this.
That's true. That's like the one problem with Dropbox is here we go. Here's the URL for folks who want the pre-launch page. I think you can go here. Let's see. I'm going to give you that link. Control V. So if you want to sign up, this will be the link. Oh, I didn't custom tag it for this stream. Whatevs. That's the link right now if you want to go check out the Kickstarter. And you can have a little remind me, follow the project, remind page. But yeah, so the problem with Dropbox though is that like it's not intuitive on what files are being locally stored on your computer and stored remotely on the cloud, and how you can like not have the ones on your computer taking up all the space on your computer. Because like if the Deadlands folder is many terabytes, and so it's like no one of us should have all of it on their computer or need it. And so yeah, honest mistake, sir. But
it's the problem with my kind of nebulous status with the company, where I'm not a PEG employee, but I've been there for so long that some things just kind of slip through, and I'm assumed to have more access than I should.
I mean, it's very private investigator, right? Just like, don't tell them you still know all the passwords.
I didn't know I did.
I don't need this folder anymore.
I'm like, I got a thing that my Dropbox was filling up, and I'm like, I can't have these 700 PDFs there, and well, the rest is fortunately not history.
Right, yeah, we recovered it. Thankfully, we have recovered Deadlands. Deadlands is not over. We might have had to close up shop because we're like, Deadlands is the font from which we all drink. And but yeah,
that damn Goff again.
Right. Like Simon pinged me on that one. He's like, "Are you deleting stuff? Who's the?" And then it was like, and then they came back. Oh, it's one of the John accounts. And it was like, get to Fogey on the phone. He's deleting stuff, and it wasn't. It was the other John. It was the John Goff, not John Fogey. And
it was that Simon's email was so British. John, please stop deleting. Please don't delete any further folders, as opposed to, oh my God, stop it.
I know that they're so reserved. Like you kind of wonder if they're like, is it really a stiff upper lip, or it's just like their blood pressure can never go above a certain point? Like, oh dear, honey, we're being invaded by the Germans. Yeah, oh well. I guess tea is off. That nope, we don't cancel tea for anybody.
Exactly. Although Simon's been here long enough that I don't think he does tea anymore.
No, I think it's just all hard liquor now, right? I mean, like being president of Pinnacle, you just got it's a job you got to drink through. There's no tea is too weak sauce. It's trying to manage the global shipping crisis, the supply crisis for all of the components that we have that go into everything becoming more expensive. It's a very fun and interesting industry that we're working in. I mean, we as Knight mentioned, we need to do more in-person events so we can all hang out and have fun together and meet up with fans. And someone even knows your wife.
I'm uncomfortable with that. I'm not sure when they met her, but I don't think I would ever describe her as quiet.
Okay, liar, pattern dog. Okay, well, speaking of pattern dogs and the big fluffy one that's like dead asleep behind me, I don't think we do talking about John Goff justice unless we talked about who this cute little fellow was. Who is this?
You're gonna make me cry.
I am gonna make you cry because he's so cute and a fluffer. And
that was Woodrow. He passed a couple of months ago. About 2.5 now, maybe coming up on 3. He almost made it to his 14th birthday. He was Great Pyrenees. Yeah.
What a cutie. Yeah, Hannibal's Park Great Pyrenees.
They're I'm sold on them as the best breed, but I don't go out and get one because I don't want them overbred. They're very ancient. They think that they may go back thousands of years before the Christian era, and they're very stable. They're just a perfect dog.
They're like the Basques, right? Like they were there before Europe was a thing.
Yeah, they I don't know. They're just everything about them. Oh, look at that big guy.
Yeah, he's 3/4 Bernese, 1/4 Great Pyr. That's John Goff, and that's Woodrow. They're so sweet. Yeah, he's a year and 6 months right now, and yeah, he's the bestest. But yeah, I almost have this exact same picture of me and my pup, but it's from you with Woodrow. Like they're very gentle and they're fun, but they're surprisingly big. Like here's you, like that's which corner of the couch do you get? And what a cutie.
We had that was when we lived back in Washington, and he was probably between 4 and 6. Joyce got a sequence where I was leaning towards him making, little kissy faces, and he looked, thought, and then just goes boom, and I got Pyrenees right in the face. But they're just amazingly affectionate there, and they're protective without being dangerous, and they're just great. The other thing is they're enormous, but because they're generally white, no one sees them as terrifying. Everybody looks at it and says, "Oh, what a beautiful dog."
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Is like so Hannibal always gets misidentified as a Saint Bernard because Saint Bernards do come in the red, but neither the Pyrenees or the Bernese. I always have to correct myself from going like the common Burmese. Like, no, they're not a python. They're not from Burma. It's Bern, Switzerland, Bernese. Neither of them come in the red. So obviously, it's a dominant color. So when they crossbreed, you kind of pops out. But
our next door neighbor has a Bernese, who's still very well, maybe 3 or 4. He's quite the barker.
Yeah, that's Hannibal. He is he claims everything at the dog park. All the toys are his. All the benches are his. He's very excited about this whole process.
I was going to say, you mentioned Saint Bernard. I think the most terrifying dog I've ever met was a friend had a Saint Bernard that was very nervous.
Ooh,
and his response to nervous was to get aggressive. And he said, well, you don't want to, you probably don't want to meet him. And I'm like, no, I love all dogs. And a Saint Bernard charging at you, growling and barking. I see where King came up with Cujo, because that dog's right at the right height to do some damage to me that I will not recover from.
There are some certain breeds. I mean, they're kind of rare in the same, like Kangals and some of the mountain dogs that are just, the Avcharkas and just kind of the larger, powerful, like, they are designed to kill wolves kind of, or bear kind of dogs.
We know of at least 3 incidents where Woodrow's size and, let's call it, his mean protected us. A guy came around selling, this was all back in Washington State, came around, but here he treated a bear on a walk.
I love it.
We had a guy come to the door selling security systems and wanted to know what, if we had a security system, and Woodrow came roaring out of the back up to the door, and I was holding it, and he goes, the guy literally jumped 3 feet back off of the front porch, and he said, what the hell is that? And I said, well, that's our security system. And the next week, another one of our neighbors was burglarized. And the police said, did someone come around offering to sell? And we had a guy, when we sold the house out there, come through. And he was actually walking around the house looking in the windows. And I said, I came out and I said, hey, what are you doing? And he said, I saw it was for sale. And I said, well, do you want to come in and look around just in case? And he gets in the house, and you could see he was really not, he was looking for, well, so how long are you guys going to be here and all this? And he was giving us the eye, but he just kept looking at Woodrow and saying, that is a big dog. That is a damn big dog. And left, and never heard from him again. So well, I'll talk about him all night. So,
well, I mean, I love dogs. So I mean, I know it's a tough question, but I mean, you deserve it for yourself to get another one. So when's the next one coming?
We don't know. We've talked about it. It's a big commitment, and for the last 7 years, we hadn't been able to do anything together because we could not leave him home alone, and he was just too big to take. So we kind of want some time to do stuff for us, but we're also like, we don't want to get another dog this soon because then it's going to be, well, he's not Woodrow or she's not Woodrow, and they're never going to live up to that. So we want to give it some time. Plus, you've probably experienced it. You also feel you owe it to them to not get another one right away. So.
Yeah, that's why I had to hop breeds. It's just like I couldn't get another border collie. It was just like there's no, one of my last ones was like, that was like the life dog kind of thing. The one that, you're never going to be that young again or whatever. And
exactly,
it just wouldn't be fair. So
that's Joyce calls him our heart dog. That he's the one. So
yeah, it is tough to travel, and
but huh?
I see. It is tough to travel, but it's like, who do you really trust your dog to, right?
Right. I could. Last time we left him with someone, that didn't end well, and it didn't have to do with the dogs. It ended up with that person ending up in jail, not for anything they did at our house, but for things that were like, oh God.
You gotta tell them for finding folks in jail. I mean, before the show, you're telling me that you were. You're one of the potential lawyer clients. Turns out, nope, they're in jail right now.
Yeah,
it wasn't Michael Avenatti, was it?
Learned that Google does not keep some of its listings up to date. It was,
that's glorious.
But yeah, no, I've had a ton of dogs in the course of my life and grown up with a ton of others. And we got Goldens before this, and we got two just amazing Golden Retrievers. And then we got the Pyrenees, and I don't think I'm ever going to have another breed. But the problem is, as you know, they take up the whole car if you take them somewhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he owns the car now. The whole back seat's his, and the passenger.
Exactly.
He loves it though. Like, he loves car surfing. He will stick his head out the window. He knows. I mean, my border collie was smart enough to learn how to do the button so that he could do the window by himself. And Hannibal knows that the window goes down, so he'll click on the window like, "Open it, Landover. Open it. Open it. Open it." And
gotta put the dog locks on.
And they're amazing. So, but I mean, yeah, we could talk all day about dogs, and we should because they're great. But you've got another little passion in your life. I gotta pop up that beauty. I've seen this in person, people. It's gorgeous. So tell me about your fascination and your love with automobiles.
Well, I grew up in a very, let's call it rural area in Southwest Virginia. And if you wanted to go anywhere, you had to have a car. And I think that started my love affair with cars in general. And they, in my mind, equate to freedom for me. Mm-hmm. But movie came out, I can't remember the year, and I'm ashamed to say that, Phantasm. And Phantasm 2 had a black Barracuda in it that I just thought was the most gorgeous car on the planet. And then
I think Phantasm 2 was the 80s, so it might have been either early 80s or 70. Phantasm 2 was 88.
Okay, and I think the original Phantasm was 81 or 83, maybe. But that the car was a big part of it, and so I just had a thing for black Cudas after that. And when they released the new Challenger back in, I think, 2009. I held off for a long time, and then it was time to get a new car. And Joyce just said, I said, either a Charger or a Challenger. She said, get the Challenger and get that one. And I've had that for 10 years now, and it's crossed the country 8 or 9 times at this point.
Oh wow, yeah, nice, nice. How many
And
tickets?
what's that?
How many tickets?
Two. One a couple of weeks ago.
You're losing it, John. You're losing it.
I used to be pretty good at knowing when not to speed, and I got busted a couple of weeks ago, and I couldn't talk my way out of that one. I usually can talk my way out of it, but this guy was writing the ticket when he came up to the car, and let's just say I think he cut me a break for only tagging me for 80. So, but no, it has held up amazingly well. We've only done one real major repair to it, and that was replacing a radiator. And yeah, I mean it's driven me through stuff you wouldn't think that it could get through, up to and including the edge of a tornado. So I'm going to drive that till the wheels fall off.
Yeah, I love the look of that car. They're just, you know, they kind of go back to that classic American muscle car that, I mean, for so long, for like the 80s and 90s and 2000s, just auto manufacturers went to that, like, it's almost like they took a regular car and made a balloon out of it, and it's like put 2 more breaths into the balloon, so everything was just a little bubbly. You know, there were no straight lines, nothing sleek. Like, I still have my 93 Jeep, and like, it looks like a box. I love the straight lines. It looks, I mean, it doesn't look fast, but you know, like, just all of the coolness, even like the rounded curves of the muscle cars. Modern cars don't look muscly; they just look like overinflated balloons.
The Mustang, I think in 2007 they came. I got one back in 2007. I had a heart attack three weeks later, but whether they were related or not has yet to be proven. But that Mustang model is what kind of brought back the retro styling. Yeah. And everybody jumped on that for a while. And now the Mustangs, they look like a European or, you know, Japanese sports car. And this is the last year of the Challenger too. And they're going away again. And I don't know if they're coming back this time. So
I know. I mean, the trends there have all gone to, I mean, I don't know. The electric cars, like, electrics is fun. I mean, when they accelerate like a bat out of hell, but like there's,
it lacks the rumble. It doesn't have that, you know, charisma where it's just sitting there growling at you. Part of the problem is the CAFE standards have kind of, with Dodge anyway, have forced it to, because the pickups are so high, so low on their gas mileage that they can't have another low gas mileage car in there. So they've had to ditch the Challenger because pickups sell a lot more than just about anything else. But I'll never forgive Ford for making an electric SUV and calling it a Mustang. That
yeah. I mean, I'm still skeptical of the aluminum blocks. I'm like, really? Like,
I talked to a guy that had one. He swore by it, but I'm like, I'm sorry. I still have my Y chromosome. I can't do that.
I mean, it's true. It's yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, I think the crazy thing to me is like there's been a ton of innovation in the internal combustion engine over the last 30 years. It just goes entirely unappreciated because it's not as sexy as alternative vehicle kind of styling and stuff like that. And it's like
the fact that you can go into a dealer still and get a car with nearly 1,000 horsepower, which is just unheard of.
Yeah,
it stuns me. And if I had an extra 6 figures in my bank account, I would be driving a Demon right now. But
oh yeah,
the car in the back does what it's supposed to do. It's I don't do a lot of surveillance anymore, and that's a great icebreaker. I seldom pull into some place where somebody doesn't
want to talk about.
Yeah. So
No, I love cars. Well, that's the sad thing too. Is I mean, in my generation, is definitely part of this, where it's like, I think I was the only kid in my freshman dorm who knew how to change a battery, or a tire. It was just like, did your parents like? I mean, there were kids who didn't have license. Like a lot of the kids from like New York and LA didn't even have licenses, so they could they could get around.
Right.
But I mean, just like sending kids off to college with cars and just like, do you want? I mean, sending a kid off not knowing how to change a tire or a battery is like, do you want them to get taken advantage of by any number of bad actors? Like that's like
Right.
the most vulnerable position is like your car won't start, you don't know what to do, or you pop a tire, and so I was like the only kid who had a toolkit, and I'm like I don't consider myself super handy, it's like that, but I was just like bare minimum stuff like having a toolkit and knowing how to do basic repairs in your car, like
Right.
even just knowing when to go get the oil change, even don't know how to do an oil change. And it's just like, no, I mean, I made really good money with like friends' cars who they just like needed, they needed jumps or they didn't have a tool, and it was just like,
I for the nights at the Smiths dinner table, that is something that cracks me up to this day. I have a stick in my, I've got I think a 6-speed. Well, what am I saying? I think a 6-speed. I know it's a 6-speed, and it's the best anti-theft system ever now at this point. Nobody knows how to drive a stick anymore. We went to a convention a few years ago, and the only parking they had left available was valet. And I pulled up, and I'm like, well, all right. He gave him the keys. The guy gets in. I can't drive a stick. I'm like, you're a valet, and you can't drive a
this is
stick.
literally your job.
They said, could you take it over and park it? So I took it over and parked it in valet parking. And when I came back to get it, the other valet couldn't drive a stick, so I had to go get it. And I'm like, damned if I'm tipping you.
Yeah,
I don't even know why I'm paying you.
Yes, that is true. I mean, like, yeah, there were very. I mean, my Jeep is stick, and I just don't know how. I mean, it's so much. It's such a different driving. One, I think you are much more aware of what's going on around you when you're driving stick versus automatic. I mean, it's just like because
You're definitely more
sure
sensitive to the car and what you got to do with it.
Yeah, and
You're not detached.
right, and like to me, it's also a safety thing. Like between the two of us, like my dad blew out a transmission on a much better Jeep than mine. He had like a Grand Cherokee, and I just had a Cherokee. But his was automatic and mine was stick because you're trying to get out of the driveway. Like, I knew just how to get through like snow or on ice. Like, I can downshift to avoid, really going crazy on black ice. There's a way of slowing the car down that isn't just slamming on brakes. And, or of really being able to accelerate if you really need to, if you need to avoid an accident, you really need some power going. I know how to. I mean, that's an instantaneous thing where it's not. I've got a Nissan that's got one of those new universal transmissions, or whatever the GMT, whatever they're calling them, and I've already had to replace it, $5,000 out the window, and it's like,
wow.
It sounds great. No, it doesn't sound great. Trying to get those things, anyways.
It's funny you mentioned that. To kind of loosely tie it to gaming, I was coming back from a Gen Con. I don't remember which one it was, but it was when we lived in Washington, and I got to about the Wisconsin Dells, leaving Indianapolis, and the transmission dropped on the car I was in, which was Impala SS, and it just went out. And I pulled over. I was stuck in town for 2 days waiting for a transmission to get replaced. It was automatic. I mean, it just ground itself out. And I don't know. I'd rather have that, simpler process in place.
Oh yeah, right. I mean, I'd rather like replace a clutch for a couple hundred versus a $5,000. No one can work on it but the dealership, proprietary. And like here's another one that I think is weird too. All the new cars that do the automatic shut off to like save a little bit of gas. I don't understand how those things don't burn out starter motor. Maybe they do, but like the like killing batteries and killing starter motors to just constantly turn off on and off the engine. I'm like, this doesn't sound like a good long-term thing, but Well, we got a couple minutes left, and I want to share some spoilers for folks because why not? So one of the cool things, speaking of, so Deadlands Dark Ages is not the next crowdfunder. Obviously, we're doing the 20th anniversary, and we basically, it's going to be huge. We need to find the right Kickstarter time and slot for it. But one of the cool things that we've talked about, because we've had Chuck on, is that there is going to be a Deadlands Dark Ages comic, and that is in the works. So I thought, so why don't you tell us, like, what is the Morgana effect? And I'll bring up some.
Wow. I don't know how much I can talk about without like spoiling too much of things going on, but it comes from something that Shane laid the groundwork for way back in the very beginning. I think he had the idea even before the Deadlands Companion, The Quick and the Dead, was published. The Cackler, who points to him for doing it, and granted, only a few of us for probably a decade knew, but his idea all along was that the Cackler was going to be Mordred from the King Arthur myth, and that Mordred's whole goal was to bring back his mother, Morgana, or Morgan Le Fay, and the Whateleys, who were kind of our nod to the whole Lovecraftian Cthulhu type horror stuff, were basically set up to help bring this into play. They were pawns in this game, and in the comic, The Cackler, Mordred succeeds and brings Morgana's soul back. But wow, I don't know how much further I can go. That has repercussions going all the way back to 868 AD, I believe, is the year in Dark Ages, which coincidentally is approximately is exactly 1,000 years. No, 864. That's right. 1,000 years prior to the Reckoning, and at that time in England, there's a whole lot of stuff going on, Wessex, the British Isles, let's just call it that. There's a tremendous amount of stuff going on, and there is the repercussions from Mordred's actions reverberate all the way back to 1868 through time, because of what we call the Morgana effect. And exactly what that entails, I don't want to give away too much, but it ends up, it's kind of funny. I don't know if you've seen the recent Flash movie. To a degree, there's that idea of the butterfly flapping its wings, except in this case, it's more like an elephant stomping, which then leads to minor effects down the line because certain things are just going to happen. And wow, I don't want to go any further than that because it kind of gives away some of the spoilers.
That's good. That's good. No, it's good. So I've got some art for our last little showing reveal, but here are 2 pages from the comic that I just wanted to show off. We don't have to talk about what's going on. People can infer. I mean, there is a long tradition of nuns with guns, or in this case, nuns with broadswords. I love these 2 pieces. Like, one, just kind of the architectural elements in the second panel, the second page, and then I just love the big face in the sky.
Oh, and Simon and I, Charles at Visionary was a dream to work with, because one, he did a ton of research to tie in other events into our storyline so he didn't trump on our own story and still have a compelling major event. But we would come back so often and say, no, that architecture is not correct for the time period. You need to change this, you need to change that. And he's like, but you already approved this. Well, we didn't notice that those had shingled roofs on them, or that vaulted ceiling isn't right in just this way, or that's not the right type of sword, or they don't have that armor. And he was great. He rolled with it, and I actually like quite a bit what they turned out. I'm always I'm very anything that I design or have any part in, and he was great to work with. So, and I'm looking forward to. Simon has the manuscript in hand and has had it for a bit, but your guys' production schedule, the poor guy is. I don't even know what he does outside of work, because he can't have more than 15 minutes. But
and very few know what he does inside of
really
work. Big black box.
He really went deep into it. So historically, and I've always enjoyed working with Simon. We seem to be copacetic on most things, and he's. I'm interested to see what he does. Welsh, I mean, like actual Welsh, and my family is from Wales, although like 300 some years ago, but. So I'm looking forward to seeing his final product with what I turned in.
No, that'd be awesome. That'd be good. So so Dark Ages comic coming soon. One more thing. I think I got one more piece I want to show you guys off. So this is one of the candidate covers, and I love everything about it. I mean, just you can't.
Oh wow, that cover. Yeah, I'm really hoping. Charles said he was gonna give me credit in the comic. I'm like, cool. Please do. I really want to add a comic to my publication list, even if it's just proofing.
Yeah, this one's gorgeous. I mean, my fave is the guy in the upper left, just jumping, just with the bandit off of the tower.
Absolutely.
The coloring and the dynamicism and kind of just what's going on. Like this one is, I'm rooting for that one. There's a couple other kind of cover candidates, but that one, right? It looks pretty good. So well, folks, that's been our hour. It's always a fun and pleasure talking with Mr. Goff. And
likewise.
What's that?
I said likewise.
Nice.
I wish I got to talk with you more. Didn't live in Colorado. Maybe we could.
Well, we gotta find an event where we'll bring out all the old gang and I'll just hang for a couple days before folks show up, and then we'll put on a little Savage Worlds thing.
That's a good idea.
Let's see. Are you making it to Gen Con this year?
It's very doubtful.
Yeah.
Very, very doubtful. I'll be honest. We've got a ton of stuff on the plate, plus with the agency on top of that. That's the downside to being a one-man agency, is there's nobody to shuck work off onto, like a marketing director.
That's true. I mean, I like how I wish I were John Goff. You can tell we both have the same poster in the background, and then my Pinnacle shirt is just off camera within reach, just like John's Pinnacle shirt. Let me see.
I deliberately, that was hanging on a shelf lower, and I'm like, I'll hang that up there and see if Landower notices it.
Right. Like mine's literally within, it's here, it exists. So just off camera.
The image in the back is actually a print that Cheyenne got for me from Brahm himself, and he got Brahm to sign it to Night Train. So that's why that one's on the wall. And taking up space where you can see a map beside it of the local area.
I just think it's cool that Pinnacle knew Brahm before Brahm was Brahm. And,
right. And we could get him at a reasonable price. Right. I mean, even then, I think he was the biggest expense in the book, because he was starting to get big with White Wolf.
Yeah. I mean, worth it. # worth it. I love that image, and the
look at that.
So I know he really wants to go to the dog park so we can go and claim all the toys and all the benches. But anyways, folks, we'll see you on Tuesday for the launch stream. So sometime in the afternoon, I think the Kickstarter is going to launch probably noon Eastern on Tuesday. There'll be a 20th anniversary of Savage.
No other conventions on my list right now to Batman is cool because yes, he is. At current, no. I'm kind of in a hiatus, playing real life stuff.
Well, that just means we have to plan a super special Pinnacle one that John Goff has to attend. So. I think I've got like the one picture I didn't show you guys because I think this was from Deadwood. This was John's setup. So if you have any doubt that he brings it when there's a Night Train, this was his setup for the churn and burn of bring your character. And it might not last long. And,
I was going to say where the roof's off, the building in the left-hand corner is taken apart. That's where Clint's character was, if I'm not mistaken, when the train rolled in.
Yeah. Yes, the church. Yes. So much fun, and fantastic game master. So we do have you to thank for inspiring Deadlands and training up Shane right, and all the TPK sense. So yeah, folks, if you're just turning in, John Goff spoilers. We've got Night Train Anniversary Edition. There's going to be Deadlands Dark Ages. There's going to be a comic, and I think those are the things. Yeah, I think those are all the John Goff things currently in the hopper. So lots of good stuff from John, and we'll see you guys Tuesday for the Kickstarter launch. Otherwise, play some Savage Worlds this weekend, folks. I got a game of Necessary Evil I'm playing in tonight. Thanks, Ronnie, for running, and John Doom, who's also in the chat, is going to be in there, and maybe Brian McCabe also in chat. I don't know. Brian never comments when he leaves his name, or leaves his name when he comments. But other than that, folks, we're going to have a big schedule next week. There'll be lots of streaming. We'll do a live stream on Tuesday. I don't know if JM will be back, but thanks for the prayers for JM. JM, who is our Savage Universe guy, went through a little bit of a medical scare. I'll let him tell you about it when he's back. But he's on the mend. And other than that, no, not streaming the one tonight. No pressure on Ronnie. We're a little. I mean, to say we're inappropriate. My character, one of my characters, one character is a cell phone, literally a Nokia, like in this Nokia cell phone. And the other character is a Saint Valentine knockoff. He's like Cupid. He's got wings, a pink jumpsuit. Instead of having a boob window, he's got a butt cleavage window. So yes, no, we are not streaming that game, and I will not show you all the wonderful art that I have of my character in his butt window.
Thank you.
Right, but Ronnie's a great GM, but we no pressure on having to perform in front of other people because we might get hashtag canceled, or my people might find my butt window offensive and annoying and not tune in. But either way, thanks for hanging out with me, John. It was a pleasure as always, and we'll get you back when we get that comic launched. And other than that, see you folks on Tuesday for the big $20 Players Book 20th anniversary suede 5th reprint with all the updates, new accessories box. With tokens and bennies and ammo counters and action deck and dice and cards and all that fun stuff. So lots of good stuff. If you're new to Savage Worlds, join us on the next Kickstarter. I think I'll pop that link. A preview link is in the chat, so go there, sign up for the what do you call it? The notification. That's the thing. And other than that, folks, I'll John Doom and Ronnie, we'll see you. No leather, but soft cover on the players' books. So second only to leather. I know we're getting kinky, but soft covers are where it's at. And
you're welcome.
Right? Yeah. We should get you on an actual play. We'll try to get a John Goff actual play of Night Train for the 25th anniversary. We'll get that on the books, and we just have to decide who gets to get killed or potential victims on that one. So, if you guys have ideas on who should be our victims for John Goff to run through Night Train for the anniversary, shoot us in, give us a comment, send us an email, all that good stuff. But other than that, get back to your weekends, have a good Friday, play some Savage Worlds. Ronnie volunteers his tribute. Anyways, cheers, folks. Have some fun this weekend.